Guys, it was a bit quiet here. We're just logging into the YouTube channel at this stage. So we're with you guys in a second. We'll be underway properly very, very shortly. Looks like the YouTube launch is underway and looking okay. Hey, Dennis. Thanks, mate. It's going very well. Hi, everybody, and welcome along to TTR, Trader Talk Radio, as we've called this show for the last 7 or 8 years. My name is Paul Bottrell, and I'll be your host today. I'm the head of Access to Wealth and Online Trading Profits. Joining me in the show today are our guest presenters and special guests. Just waiting for them to come in, actually. We'll just see if they are in the wrong list here. I'll make Paul Hutton give him some powers. We'll see if perhaps we need to make sure they have better links coming in the future, guys. Hey, guys, exciting day, exciting show. Lots of stuff going on today, and a little bit different. We've made some changes to the basic layout of things, and I will talk about that as we go along. Look, I guess I'll talk about that right now. Two sort of things to be aware of on the format. First of all, from next Sunday, we'll be starting at 5:15, and our first cross from next Sunday will be to Alexis to have a 5-minute look at fundamentals. We've talked to the presenter this week about just trying to keep the show flowing a bit more, keep it a bit more technical. And they have come back with some good stuff. Our first guest today will be going very early on to Paul Hutton. He's a man that shows you the benefits of looking at the charts every morning for 10 or so years in a row, and his knowledge of technical setups and technical charts, and what's not only what would normally happen, but that experience, that knowledge to go, well, look, this might normally happen, but today I think this is going to happen, is quite unique. He's going to talk to us about Euro GBP, Euro CAD, and Aussie New Zealand today. So we'll get a good look at those three. And on each of those ones, Paul will talk, and then we'll see if anyone else in the team wants to offer an opinion, and you guys as well. If you want to offer any opinions, you can do that via the chat. Would appreciate your chat. Look, I'm going to turn the camera on from next week as well, but today I'm on the desktop and it doesn't have a camera, and the Razer hasn't worked this morning. So from next week, we will have cameras on as well. After we've spoken to Paul Hutton and done Euro Pound, Euro CAD, and Aussie New Zealand, Ainsley will come in and talk about oil and gold. I know, as you were saying earlier on, our core the oil market's been pretty quiet, but she's got some very clear opinions on gold for the week ahead, and we'll hear those from her early on. And then Jeff will come in and he will talk about Euro US dollar, cable, Pound New Zealand, and dollar CAD, the loonie. And on each of these things, we'll keep the crosses to about 5 minutes with a little bit of time of analysis from our head speaker, and then we'll have a bit of a chat between the team if they're in the room, if they have any questions, and give you guys a chance to ask any questions on those specific topics. If you have another chart you'd like us to discuss, please let us know. One of the things we are going to try and do moving forward with this show is do it in an hour. I think from a point of view of you guys that are watching, I think an hour is a bit more optimal than the sort of hour and a half, hour 45 has been taking from time to time since. Look, great to see lots in the room. I will log in and check on the YouTube channel when we do our first cross. And nice to see you in the room, guys. It looks like Jeff Ainsley and Paul are all in the room. Before we get to PH and do some analysis with him, we might have a quick chat and a quick check-in with Ainsley and Jeff. I might start. Jeff, not a lot of trading this week, some family stuff going on for you, but getting back into it in the later part of the week.
Yeah, trying. I've got a funny habit of coming back into trading after a little bit of a break and trying to get a little bit of a sense of what's going on around the world before I actually get into it. So, yeah, struggling a little bit for clear directions, I'd have to say, and that will hopefully clarify itself as this week goes on. I do have some good opinions about what I'm looking for in the coming week, but gee, I've got to say they're few and far between, the market structures that I normally look for.
Mate, it's okay. You've had a couple of stellar months, and I actually do remember when we were first trading the slingshot in the early days. The man that traded it with us was very much of that opinion. He would never trade the first couple of days back after a break. He'd always watch the markets, and I've always thought that not everything that man said I thought made a lot of sense, but that particular thing I thought did make a certain amount of sense. Ainsley, you with us as well?
Yeah.
Am I right? All a bit quiet, but some interesting stuff coming on gold the week ahead.
Yeah, look, both of them, I think I referred several times during the week as the oil chart looking, the new technical term I have coined, a dog's breakfast. It's just going up and down and up and down. And that was in light of the fact that OPEC met on Wednesday on the 15th, and they were trying to do something around those big reductions. You will remember we talked about those big reductions that were a little too late. With saving oil, and they were trying to either extend them or because they were only for 2 months. The 9.7 million barrels being cut per day were only for 2 months, and yeah, they had a chat. They've come to an agreement, but that's been a really tough chart to trade. So I haven't traded that at all. And coming up, I'm sure, but we'll talk about that later. And gold the same. We had that nice big move, but this week was the first close for gold over 1,800 since September 2011. So that's pretty significant. And
that'll give us. Sorry, that'll give us after you. Ainsley, back to you. Sorry.
Yeah. That'll give us some an interesting setup coming into this next week, because I think after the period of consolidation and having a bit of backwards and forwards around that 1,800 mark, which we all knew was going to be coming into that 1,800 mark, you expect a bit of consolidation, and volatility was trying to work out what it's doing. I think we're looking for another upside leg, which is really interesting.
Well, we will get to that in due course in a bit more detail as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about oil just at the start before we get to Paul Hutton? I think now probably a couple of months ago I spoke about buying oil on the way down, and that I thought it was okay to buy it all the way down, and that you should, you could scale into it, and that I'd be targeting mid 40s on that. Just want to let you guys know that I've closed my positions on that. So I'm out depending on where we are between about $40 and $43. And
I don't think it's going to crack 41.
Yeah, I'm with you. It depends again. I'm with you on Brent or WTI, but and again with you on which broker you're on. But I just felt that setting a target months ago. I have a feeling the next leg down for oil, the big leg down for oil, the next big one isn't a long way away. And we bought some of those down around $10-12, so I was pretty happy to get rid of them. I got rid of them. And if you're in that trade, if you've been following that, I know I talked about it 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and then tended to leave it alone, guys. So if you are in those trades, I do encourage you to cash them up. Should be some pretty good money there for you. Now, our feature presenter tonight is Paul Hutton. He's a man, as I said, shows the benefits of being professional. Paul Hutton's a man that gets up every morning and has a look at the charts, and has done that now for about 407 years, isn't it, PH?
Almost.
Almost. Feels like it's some mornings, eh?
Yeah.
Mate, so what's the benefit of looking at the charts every day?
Well, every day there's a new bar that closes on the daily charts, and it tells you the unfolding story of the battle between the buyers and the sellers of that currency pair. And sometimes it's an indecision bar, which doesn't really, it's not a very exciting story. And sometimes it's a decisive bar that's going in one or another direction, and that could be an opportunity to trade. So I just figure doing that daily check-in 5, 10, 15 minutes a day gives me the opportunities that, lets me trade the best opportunities on the daily charts.
Man, I really like that. And we're going to go through 3 charts today. And which one are we going to start with, PH? So we're going to start with Euro GBP.
If you don't mind, I'll chat. Can we just a little more superpowers so I can share my screen?
Oh, sorry, mate. I thought that was all taken care of. Let me get rid of this for you, mate. Let me have a look at participants. Paul Hutton. More. Must have to make you the host, I guess. Make co-host. There we go. You can become a co-host.
Thanks for that.
I think that'll allow you to do that as well. I'll do the same for Ainsley in a few seconds as well. You ready to go, PH?
Yeah, there you go. You should be able to see my screen now. And I'm looking at
PH,
the Kiwi.
sorry, just before I let you go, mate, we're going to start with Aussie New Zealand, PH.
Yes, yeah. We'll start with
Guys, at the end of Paul Hutton's session, we're going to ask the team if they have any thoughts on this and want to add anything to it. And I'm also going to open up to you guys in the chat if you have any thoughts on Aussie New Zealand you want to add. Feel free to throw them in the chat box and let us know. Look, obviously we have this both on Zoom and YouTube. I understand it'll be on Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook before too long. Yeah. If you have any questions, pop them in there, and I'll try and keep an eye on both Zoom and Facebook for that, guys. So also on YouTube as well for that. So PH, Aussie New Zealand, the greatest, the Kiwi versus the Aussie. What do you got for us, buddy?
The greatest battle of them all, Paul. So look, we were short the Aussie Kiwi on the daily time frame, and we made some money. And we got down here, and this is, by the way, this is a weekly chart. And I've got a 40-week moving average on it, which simulates the 200-day moving average. So it just bottomed out around that 200-day moving average, and then it's given us a weekly bullish engulfing bar. I take quite a bit of heed to these reversal bars, especially on the weekly charts. So the tide has turned between the Aussie and the Kiwi in the last week, and as you can see on the daily chart, it's given us a daily bullish engulfing on the Monday, more follow through on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a bit of consolidation. But just going back to the weekly here, there's a trend line that has started, gosh, all the way back in 2015, and it's got several touches. We didn't break out of that trend line earlier this year, but in the last few months actually. But I think we're headed back. We're headed back for that trend line within the next, I'd say within the next week or two maximum. And because we've got probably on a shorter term time frame, maybe on a 4-hour time frame, you could probably pick up a higher low here. It's definitely made some higher highs on the 4-hour time frame. It's not ideal for me yet on the daily, although come tomorrow, the weekly pivot would have stepped up. So my strategy would let me look for trades on it, I'm sure. But definitely there's a target there that's probably about 60, 70 pips above price. And I think the probability of breaking this trend line now is a lot higher than it was a couple of months ago. If you keep testing something, if you keep butting your head against it, eventually you're going to go through it. And then the next upside targets will be 107.60, 108.40, which is decent pips on this particular currency pair. Even without breaking the highs of May. Yeah, so I think there's a fair bit of room for upside there on the Aussie Kiwi. So that's the first chart on my list, and it's a pretty short list for me this week because what I've seen from everything against the US dollar, the Aussie US dollar, the Euro US dollar, the Swissy, the Canadian dollar, the Japanese yen, they're not telling me anything very decisive. So I'm just watching those and waiting for those stories to unfold so that I can see a little bit more clarity. That's why I'm looking primarily at crosses today. Although I love looking at the majors any day of the week. But Euro pound, moving across to Euro
Mate,
pound.
Before we go to Euro pound, let's open up for some discussion on Aussie New Zealand. Anyone got any thoughts on it?
Sure thing.
Guys, if you have any questions on or comments on Kiwi pound, please, on Aussie New Zealand, please put them in the chat. We'll also ask Jeff and Angie if they've got any thoughts on it, see if they have anything they want to offer. Guys, any thoughts on Aussie New Zealand?
Yeah, there was
I'm on the wrong side of it.
Sorry, guys, can't have you both go at the same time. Let's start with Angie, then go to Jeff. We've got about a minute for this section. What are your thoughts, guys?
Okay, I'll just go quickly. There was that big reversal on Monday to which Paul referred to, and on a technical basis, it was a lovely bullish engulfing, but the fundamentals behind that, just to balance your technicals with your fundamentals, is because Jeff and I were chatting, scratching our head, was like, why did the Aussie take off? It was linked to the price of iron ore hit an all-time high, and China increased its demand for it. So iron ore took off, coal's not far behind. So, yeah, the resources again bumped the Aussie dollar up. So people wondering why, that was the reasoning behind it.
Got a question from Dennis on it as well. With Aussie New Zealand, with the corona so bad in Australia, how is that going to do something? And look, we had Justin in the trading call before the show, the traders who trained the fund, have a chat before we come into the show. And he was talking about this, and he just said at this stage, it doesn't look like the Australian stock market's going to react to the coronavirus stuff. And if it doesn't, he doesn't think the currency will do a lot. I've got to say, Dennis, I think if the situation in Australia continues to deteriorate, at some stage we will see a move. But right now, the market does seem, I don't know how to put it, a little bit disinterested in coronavirus is my thought. Jeff, where were you on the Aussie dollar, on the Aussie Kiwi, sorry?
Yeah, I was on the other side of it, trading it down on Stop It Ainsley.
Oh, Jeffy.
And
sorry, we just
and
both
I
went,
didn't
what
know the
happened there?
I beg your pardon?
We both went, what happened?
Yeah, WTF, exactly right. And I didn't know that the iron ore price had just gone nuts, and that explains it. Doesn't put me in a good position, and Paul, I think your analysis is now pretty good. At the same time, you will still get a lower high at that trend line, so that probably won't upset the cyclicity too much. You've still got lower highs and lows, so I'm still a bear.
Guys, we're talking about getting up to this trend line of Paul Hutton's, and as you say, Jeff, that'll mean lower highs and lower lows, and really decision time there. If we don't get through to that next horizontal level, then we look bearish here. And if we do break it and get up to that next horizontal level, we might have to review this.
Yeah, definitely. It's an emerging, bullish currency pair, but it hasn't actually, it hasn't actually proven to be bullish. It needs to make, as Jeff said, it needs to make a higher high and a higher low. I'm wondering, and we can spend a little bit less time on the other two currency pairs. They're pretty straightforward. I'm wondering, Ainsley, whether the challenges between the US and China will actually benefit Australia and the Aussie dollar as a currency, simply because, if Australia and China become stronger trading partners, i.e. China needs to, import more goods from Australia, they might be a benefactor from all this nonsense with the US.
Oh, undoubtedly, Paul. As soon as the demand for Australia's resources go up from China, the Australian dollar is looking really good, despite the home economics. And I'm not referring to cooking either from high school. It is the we are looking not great. We are looking at standing on the brink of a second wave, and Melbourne's in lockdown. New South Wales is not looking flash at the moment.
Honestly, Ainsley, if you guys are on the brink of a second wave, I'm on the brink of needing to diet. What the hell are you talking about on the brink? There's a second wave, right?
It started.
Victoria's in trouble, right? It's underway. We're not on the brink. We're underway, right?
Oh, look, come on. We were very kind. We actually tried to cut Victoria off from the rest of the mainland and let it go adrift like Tasmania, but that didn't work apparently, and it is actually starting to get traction in New South Wales. Unfortunately, and the unemployment rates came out this week and weren't flush, as you could expect. And the next couple of unemployment figures, I imagine, are going to be diabolical. So whilst that is feeding into it, the resources are ramping up. And it's going to just go, the Aussie dollar will go along with that, regardless of what's happening with the US and China. China is our main trading partner. US is just an ally on a very tenuous diplomatic strain at the moment, is all I can say. But China pays the money. Yeah? Follow the money.
Got a couple of things for you, buddy. Last week I talked about ATR5 and put on the S&P and talked about volatility traders and how they were working this. And Aussie New Zealand as sort of risk-on currencies. You've got ATR5 on there. Are you doing the same thing? Are you trying to track volatility on it, or is it just, are you having a look, or is it just something else you're using it for something else?
I put this on my charts maybe a couple of months ago, and I'm just watching it and noticing as we start to see bigger moves, the ATR increase, and as we start to see smaller moves, the ATR decrease. But you know, if you correlate price movement and ATR, you know, you see opportunities to trade as the ATR rises. It's not exactly a leading indicator. It's more like an incident indicator. But yeah, it's not giving me, at the moment, I haven't incorporated it into my trading strategies as a signal yet. It's just something I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm doing exactly the same thing with it.
Yeah, let's move on to the euro pound.
Sorry, mate. Before we do, we've got a question on YouTube about Aussie yen. Do you mind when we finish the other two, just having a quick chat about Aussie yen?
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Cheers. Okay, let's move on. Thanks for the chat, guys.
Okay, so this is the euro pound. And guess what? Another weekly engulfing bar, pretty much. You can see those two bars there, or more or less the same place. Above the 90 level, which is a really important psychological level from a historical basis, you can see that. And it had, look, I've been watching this currency with a lot of interest and, making some good trades on it over the past couple of months. We were in boxes. We got to a higher level, we consolidated, we got to a higher level here. There's a trend line again running through there, which I think is going to be broken this week. And we came back down, we bounced off another trend line. There's a 50-day moving average in there as well for the people who like moving averages. And it just has this look of a currency that is about to break out. It might come back to the 90 level. But it's just looks like the buyers at the moment are in control in a market, like I said before, which has very little going on across the majors. So I'm tipping the euro to outperform the pound, at least in the short term. At least in the short term. And if we break this 91 level, which is about just here, break the 91 level, then the next logical stop is somewhere between 90, 94, 50 and 95. Right, so that's a couple of hundred pips there. That's the euro pound, and I'm not sure whether we can see on ATR, it is starting to turn up there from a very low level of about 0.00050, right? So that's the daily range. Yeah, so it's starting to turn up. On Friday, it was 69. Yep. So any thoughts, questions, comments on the euro pound for me?
Guys, if you've got any questions on euro pound, you can type into the chat box on Zoom. You can put them into the chat box on YouTube, and we will ask the guys for you guys. Let's start this time with Jeff. Jeff, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, really tough to see the pound outperforming the euro. I agree with that from a fundamental point of view. And when I have a look at the euro dollar technical chart a little bit later, you'll see why the euro is on fire, really, at the end of the day. And it's broken long-term structures. So I would find it very, very difficult to trade this short at the moment, although I do see a bearish engulfing bar there and a lower high. That does entice me a little bit. I might even have at a resistance level. I might even have a look at that tomorrow myself. But yeah, very, very tough to trade against the euro if you're talking pound at the moment. I think it's a really tough ask.
Yeah, I'm going to talk slingshot with you on this in a few seconds, Jeff. Ainsley, what have you got on anything on euro pound?
Yeah, I agree. I traded euro last week, so I'm still liking the euro strong. The pound just seems to be really, really struggling at the moment, so it has no clear direction. So I can see that this euro pound will just keep going north.
Yeah. Cheers for that, Ainsley. Thank you. Look, PH, currently the EU summit's underway where the EU, I think it's the finance ministers, could be wrong, I think it's the finance ministers are together to talk about COVID recovery. I imagine they're talking about Brexit as well. And I would expect that may have a little bit of a bearing on the next few days on both euro and pound. So I would be surprised. I would be surprised if we didn't open up with a gap on this on Monday morning, one way or the other, based on the news coming out of that. Yeah. It's a pretty big event. Interesting. Forex Trader's only got his own news too, which does surprise me a little bit. I guess it's not a normally important thing. Day 3 today, to recover response to COVID-19 crisis and new EU long-term budget in Brussels. My God. Imagine sitting around while they do that, an EU long-term budget. Jeff, it's an interesting little slingshot pattern, isn't it? A little, below the previous touch on that trend line.
Look,
support
totally
straight below,
is.
but it does have a little bit of a slingshot look to it, doesn't it?
It does. What I would have to say and add to that is very, very tough for me to go long at this point, given the resistance that we've got dead ahead. And I think there's a bit more historic to the left-hand side of that chart as well. And it is at a 91 cent level. And I think really at the end of the day, it's an overbought currency, a currency pair. So it would be tough for me to, although everything is telling me that this can go long, it would be very, very tough for me to go long at this point. If you have a look at back there in August 2019, there's a little spike there that drove the market down, that lower high, that one there, that drove the market down big term. And I'm not suggesting that was the reason it went there, but technically that's what happened. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if this does go the other way. To trade that is very, very difficult, as I said, from a fundamental point of view. But they're the ones that really do produce, don't they, at the end of the day? But I totally see a little slingshot there to the
One
upside.
thing we're saying here really right now, and I think, let me see if I get this from both parties, is that really, PH, to get really long on Euro GBP, you want to break this trend line and a close above.
I'm happy. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Yep. No, please, after you.
I'd be just as happy if it came back down and
Gave you a buy down there,
close to the 90 level, and gave me some decisive bullish price action on the daily chart or the 4-hour chart. Then I'd be willing to risk it with a stop. I mean, if you really want to be safe and put your stop underneath the previous low, that gives it lots of room to consolidate. But I just think that the most likely direction here in the next week or two is up.
I think you're right. It's one of those things where I like the thought of a pullback and a leg up. And look, we get a close below 90, all bets are off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's starting to look less attractive with a daily close below 90.
Actually, Patch, I'll ask you this because I think it's a really interesting, interesting trading question. You're largely, I mean, you trade both time frames, but does a 4-hour close below a level count for you, or do you really want a daily close to be confirmed we've got a close below?
Oh, look, a lot can happen, Paul, in 24 hours. And whilst you sometimes, like I see decisive 4-hour candles all the time, and then they could be coming into news events, or they could be coming into, let's say, the European Open or the US Open, and then price can sometimes just completely reverse after a decisive 4-hour candle. So I don't place so much faith in them. Daily closes for me, definitely carry more weight for me.
Cool, guys. Look, we'll, before we get on to the next one with PH, just let you know that Julian's in the show. He'll be talking dollar, yen, and pound Aussie. Same kind of format. We'll have a few minutes on each. If you have any questions, put them in the questions box, and we will go through them. PH, we are going from Euro pound to
Euro CAD.
Euro CAD. There we go.
Euro CAD. And gosh, another currency pair I've been watching for some time, anticipating it was going to break to the upside, and it finally did. And look, it's also a currency pair that has, and I don't have a volatility. I don't have an ATR on this particular chart, but just look at the price action. You can see green, red. Green kind of like small reversal bar, green. So this thing can, whilst on the daily chart, you can see decisive bullish candles. You can just as easily see this thing come back and give us a decisive bearish candle just within the context of the most recent ranges. There's two things I really like about it for upside. One is that it broke this trend line, and it retested the trend line and it bounced off it. Okay, so it indicated the buyers were in there waiting for the retest. Okay, yep. And the second thing that I really like about it is it's closed above the 155 level. Yep, that's another psychological round number there. There's another horizontal level just a little bit lower there at 154.20. But this most recent price action for me is making me lean towards upside for this pair. And when I'm talking about upside for this pair, well, it could be, here's the next horizontal level, which is about 157. I'll just put a 157 there to make it a round number. And going back historically, there's, all the way back to, 2018, where we've got another high there at, or a horizontal level at 160 even. So coming back to where we are now, that's to 180 pips and then another 300 pips. So the upside potential on the EuroCAD, I think, is very, very good. If you're prepared to be patient and endure some decent pullbacks. Now, I agree with Jeff. The bullish sentiment on the euro is pretty plain for everyone there. I didn't want to choose the euro chart because I figured that it will get enough coverage today from everyone else. But I pretty much agree with everyone's sentiments on the euro that the upside is highly likely here. And the EuroCAD will benefit from that. The Euro Pound will benefit from that. But I think other than the Euro Pound, I think this is the other currency right now to watch for a pullback and get long.
Cheers, PH. Like it a lot. Just want to check with you, PH. You're looking for a pullback maybe off that horizontal level at 154.19 for buying area?
Yeah.
Or you want to buy above 155?
It doesn't have to. No. Again, this could potentially gap up tomorrow. Yeah. But if it doesn't, if it opens within the range there, I'd be willing to use Friday's candle as a master candle, but put my stop down below the recent lows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're risking about 145 pips, but remember the upside is 400 something, right? So it's, reward to risk definitely makes it worth it.
NPH closed below the trend line for this to be in jeopardy, right? Maybe we're wrong if we get it closed below the trend line.
Well, this is the thing about these trend lines. It's like it's been broken, right? But it's a downsloping trend line. So price could actually, if it doesn't go straight up, if it consolidates, it could actually bounce around here and build a bullish flag for us, which is it's a pretty crappy chart pattern to be long, right? Because lower lows will take you out. We'll just clean up your stops and take you out. But looking at the longer term picture, even if that does happen, it's still a bullish, chart pattern, and we're still going to eventually break out to the upside.
PH, any trend line coming off about late May? Is off that low down there? Is there a little trend line running up there anywhere that might come into play for a pullback?
A rising one?
Yeah. Like
from here to here?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a bit too far down for you, really, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I wouldn't want. I mean, if I saw it come back down there, the cyclicity would still be bullish, and I'd still be keen to get long. But that's not my plan A. Put it that way.
Okay. Anything, Jeff and Ainsley? Anything from you?
I'm just going to reply to Dennis's comment about is the crappy oil price going to affect it? Yeah, it is. Oil will affect CAD, dollar CAD, and or the Canadian dollar, and I think you'll see it weaken off. So that'll just give it even strength.
Julian, any thoughts from you on this?
No, it looks pretty positive at the moment, that EuroCAD cross.
Yeah, it was nice, isn't it?
Below that trend line, which will be, is that a weekly low? It's not quite the weekly low, is it? But that's a break back inside the trading range. I'd have severe doubts about this. I'd have to look at see where momentum is in this, but that could be the start of the next leg up here.
Nice. Are you okay for 10 minutes while Ainsley does gold and oil, and we'll come to you?
Sure.
Cheers, mate. Okay. Ainsley, PH, thank you very much for analysis, as always. Always do find that interesting. I'm going to see if I've got a quick summary of it. Really, Aussie, New Zealand, Euro Pound and EuroCAD we are bullish on the lot. We have got some areas where if it went below, we would just get out of the market and have a look while it got clearer to us. But really, we're looking for the right buy signals on all of them, right?
That's right, Paul.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much for that. I don't see any other questions. I don't have YouTube up right now. Let me just check. We'll see if we can come back into some of these other currencies. Got a couple of questions on pound US dollar. I think Jeff's talking about pound US dollar a bit later on. We'll see if we can get to it. PH, be great if you can hang around and discuss anything else we get into. Ainsley, oil's doing nothing. Gold's giving us some opportunities, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Paul, I'll get you to grab the charts back, and if you can have a look on, I think it's XTI on yours.
Which one are you looking for?
XTI, not WTI.
Oh, look, I'll go to Fusion for that, because I've got the WTI chart here, but it's the it's
yeah,
the
I don't
one.
like that.
Yeah, no worries. Let me go to Fusion and bring that up for you.
Thank you.
XTI. I just need to share this screen as well. You guys will still be seeing the other screen. XTI.
But yeah, oil, just to give you a quick rundown on what happened with oil and OPEC during the week. We discussed briefly in the opening, OPEC had agreed back in May for the 9.7 million barrels per day cut amongst all the OPEC producing countries. That was only for 2 months. It wasn't for ad infinitum. And what they discussed last Wednesday was it was meant to be eased. So they thought this whole coronavirus thingy would be, blown over. And in 2 months, and we're back to normal production and manufacturing demands, et cetera. Well, that just isn't the case, is it, boys and girls? So in their infinite wisdom, they were talking about lifting those restrictions. However, what they've agreed to is to further, not to lift the restrictions, what they've agreed to is 2 million barrels per day less. So they're at restriction quotas of 7.7 million. So that, and flying in the face of the fact that everybody is sort of very nervous about production and manufacturing going forward, and the demand could well and truly ease off as coronavirus seems to mutate and just keep flying at a phenomenal rate. So,
Angie, what do you think will happen to price on oil?
Price on oil, I think it's going to go down. I think we're looking at the oil producing countries still pumping, even though it's at a lesser rate, but still pumping. And we've got demand potentially dying off. And we have not seen a close over 41. We've got a lot of consolidation. I'm seeing it's not going down per se at the moment. You can see those very gentle steps up on the weekly and the monthly pivot, but it's just, you can see it's consolidating. It's just not going any higher. 4 hourly charts.
How do we get short on it, Ainsley? Is it a 200-day moving average bounce short? Is it a break, a weekly pivot? What are we looking for to get short here?
Drop down to a 4 hourly chart, because what you've got there is a rising triangle. And it's just, look at that. I mean, that, to me, that you can't trade that. That's just, like I said, my new technical term for that is a dog's breakfast. It's just all over the place. We need a close below.
Gold.
Sorry?
I'd gone with you can't trade that.
No, I just can't trade that at the moment. You need something decisive to reverse it, and it's just flapping around in the breeze. It just doesn't, it has no direction. It doesn't know where it's going, but it's just not going up. So in light of that, we're looking for something decisive to reverse it. I can't see it yet. It hasn't happened.
Okay.
Even the news, the fundamentals don't work. The technicals aren't stacking up. I'm leaving it alone. I want to see something decisive to reverse it. It's not there.
Okay. PH, Jeff, Julian, anything on oil to add to that?
Yeah, I might just add a little bit of that colour just to add something in, Paul, there, is that I think one of the key things that's going on in oil is we have terrible bearish momentum divergence. So terrible, it means very strong bearish momentum divergence. It doesn't mean to say the market's going down, but it is set up to Ainsley's point as well too, though, the add to that the fact that this is a series of higher lows which has not really come down, and it appears to me, sort of again to Ainsley's point, maybe we need to go up to $2 or $3 before we can reverse it and come down. At that point, I think we'll all have a bit more clarity about what's happening, and that I think is the probable direction, is that we have to rally a little bit first. It trades well, and I think it might go up a little bit first, and then we have some kind of massive outside bar down day or something like that along those lines, which will give us a bit more clarity.
Look, I'm from a technical point of view, guys, going to say if you're looking for a signal on this, we haven't seen a close below the 15 EMA on this journey, and a close below the 15 EMA. You know, if you got it here, you'd get a close below weekly pivot for last week. Let's have next week's weekly pivot print, but a close below that might start and at least give me a direction that I like on this. I'm with, I can see the pop up, although I can see the 200-day moving average attest there at 41.50. Or a close above that would be interesting for me. You know, a close above that would interest me, and a close below the 15 EMA would interest me as well. Gold, Ainsley, which one are we looking for? Is it XAU?
XAU USD, thank you.
Cheers.
Hello. What a week. It's just been a week of consolidation, but as said, we would expect that kind of broke 1800. What we have had is a weekly close above 1800 for the first time since September 2011. We've had 6 straight weekly up bars. The consolidation, what it has done to a lot of the charts, has actually brought it back with RSIs and MACDs and ADXs and all those kind of things, with looking very suspicious, like we're looking for another leg up. So this last week consolidation, we've not seen any major correction. The downside was at a low of around the 1787 mark, but as soon as it did that, it turned around and popped straight back up again, up over 1800. 1800 is a round number. We expected that to happen. The volatility up around as people sold out, bought, sold out, bought. But I'm quietly optimistic on this one for a run up to around the 1820, 1825 mark. The other thing that is still in my favour at the moment is we're in July, so we're still seasonally biased for a run on gold.
Here we go, guys. So if I've got it right, Ainsley, looking for a run up to around 1825, got a seasonal bias that way. And we have had a week of consolidation. You guys will see that this bar sits inside this bar. So we have had a week of consolidation, which would have got a few of those oscillators back into the areas. So if 1825 is our target, Ainsley, pull back for an entry, or do you think there's an area here where we need to be careful if we get below?
Get below that 1787 mark, you're looking for a really good pullback. So yeah, if you go down there, I mean, like I said, it's still being used. Let's say everybody's very nervous about a second wave hitting the rest of the world. I know I'm in a little bit of denial here, sitting in Sydney and all the rest of it. I think we can see, if we're really smart about it, it's going to happen. It'll keep going. It will affect how people look at things, currencies, economy, and gold is shiny and safe, and it has always been that safe haven. So yeah, just Jeff, be wary either side.
Jeff, PH, Julian, anything on gold?
Mate, me talking about gold's like asking me to comment on being a ballerina, so I'll probably back out of that one.
See you in a
Jeff, that is something I would definitely like to see.
That's something that I might pay to see, but I wouldn't want to see. You know, it's one of those things. It's like a car crash unfolding, isn't it?
You couldn't unsee it, could you?
No, I'm looking forward to the Jeff ballerina calendar. That would be.
Now there's an idea.
I definitely have that one on my wall, mate.
It's
Oh,
yeah, well, so
as we try and get that image out of our mind.
Okay.
Anything else on gold, guys? Are we done on gold?
No, hang
hey.
on. I've had a couple of questions. Julian was going to sprout after he was completely sidetracked with Jeff. Yeah, I'm just going Jeff and a tutu. Jesus. If you go back, what were you saying, Jules?
Yeah, look, I think really the key thing to remember about the way that gold trades is that it trades fine, and there's no reason really to get too excited about it unless it starts to take out weekly lows, and we haven't even tried to test any of those recently. So
Not even close. Yeah.
yeah, we keep coming back to this is the same pattern we see in many other markets right now. It's a series of high lows, and it's trading okay. I have a slightly more aggressive targets than you and mine, Angie. I think I've got an 1850 as a target from some time ago, which is a possibility, I think. So, but again, you know, this will change. This will change if it changes, and I think you just got to be without being too obviously self-fulfilling about that. You just got to just wait and see what happens. At the moment, it trades just fine.
It does.
1825 monthly. 1825 veins is our highest monthly close on gold, which is your target. Julian, yours?
1850, and I agree with Jules. 1850 is definitely one of my targets. But 1825, obviously, we're going to hit first, and I'm just looking for one that's happening in this coming couple of weeks. Because if it does, I think it's going to be one of those things. If it goes above the 1815 mark and closes, it's going to be a bang straight. It'll be $10 in your blink, and it'll be gone.
Yeah, and look, I think just to add to that, so the seasonal for gold is really strong after this week for the next 3 to 4 weeks. So you combine a trendy market with a seasonal that's bullish. It's like, let's just try and make sure we nail all the pullbacks, right?
Yeah.
So, and we've had a question from Fad about what's advice to pick the next gold trade, what to look for. Ainsley, how does the average trader, because you know, this is the question with gold always, isn't it? Looks great. How do I get into it?
Okay, drop down to a 4-hourly. Look at that.
Pretty clear 4-hourly entry here, wasn't it? This weekly pivot test, and again, here again, it gave you another good bounce off weekly pivot. Here again, it gave you another bounce off weekly pivot, and it loves all levels, doesn't it? Gold loves all levels, but you know, we'll have another weekly pivot.
Pivots.
I can put
have a look at that. Look for a reversal bar and just hold on. Wide stops, wide stops, because it does flick. But Paul's just shown you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just look at it come back. When it pulls back, look at where it comes straight back to to that pivot.
That orange line there is next week's weekly pivot. This week's weekly pivot, 1804.53, I think, without 1804.53, I think it is. So if you're looking for a level for pullback and an opportunity to buy on a 4-hourly chart, this thing, gold's always been the same. It loves levels, and if you know, so on a 4-hourly chart, I got to say this price action is a little more concerning for me. It looks a bit toppy on a 4-hourly chart to me, but I do think momentum in this is just too strong. It'll carry it through, and we are around historic levels here, so I'm not surprised it's a little bit toppy, but a bit more toppy than I was expecting on the 4-hourly chart.
Looks like top of range to me, Paul. Actually, I will comment on it.
Yeah,
I can't help myself when I see that.
Yeah, you'd be loving it, wouldn't you?
I know.
Yeah.
I think of you, Jeff. I looked at the chart earlier today and I just went, Jeff would love this.
Yeah. You'll have to teach me how to trade it, eh?
Hey, yeah. But Dennis, I'd be seeing where it went, but look, with gold, as you can see, that range, and it hits one end of the range and it comes down and it does the other end of the range and then goes back up and hits the other. You've got to be with your stops below anything that pokes out of that range. That's
so we're looking to get down here, Ainsley. We're looking to get if we're going to get an entry at 1804, you're looking to get below.
Yes, there.
1793, or you're prepared to take this on, depending on how conservative you want to be, right? I mean, you could get a stop in there, or you could get a stop in there. And I think one of the things with gold is that really for mine, and guys, feel free to jump into this. You know, the biggest mistake that retailers, traders make trading gold is trying to do it on a $1 stop or $2 stop. You're just not a chance. This thing has a decent daily range. But I think when you're taking gold, you're not looking to get, even though you're entering on a 4-hourly chart, you're not trying to trade gold for hours. you're trying to trade gold for days and probably weeks, and you need to give it enough space to let those positions develop. Right? We're still hearing, stories of $2,000 and $3,000 targets on this thing, and I'm not a believer in a $3,000 gold target in the next 12 months. But I am a believer that when you take it, you're looking for big long-term targets, and not to look. Gold loves levels, and it loves hanging around inside them, and it'll box you up a little bit, and then it'll pop, and then it'll box you up a little bit, and then it'll pop. And I think if you can get a level at your 1805, you can be as aggressive as you want. But I can't see from here how you get a stop above 1793.
Yeah, and don't forget that magic level is 1787. So if you pop down to the low of that bar that was quite aggressive during, that's about 17. What's that?
789.
Yeah, 789.88. So that's the kind of level that you're looking at. And if we have a close below that, then guys, it's
look, that 789 level pretty interesting, isn't it? With that low there and that high back here, and you get below 1789, you're pretty interested in where we're really going.
Yeah. So when you look at a chart like that down on the 4 hourly, you can see it pretty clearly. But when it's down there, sometimes you've got to be, and I've done it myself and sucked a lot of air and not slept, which is when it's hit a certain level and I've had to buy and it's been still falling, but as soon as it's turned around and started to pop again, I could put the laptop down and go back to sleep. But yeah, I guess it's like learning any of the currencies or your financial assets, and watching it for a really long time and understanding the idiosyncrasies on how it moves. That is, it's not always going to work out for you, but having a little bit more confidence in the way it moves. But as you can see, hits those levels and it bounces straight back off them. And hey,
look, I'd be with this interesting enough that this thing was bouncing off weekly pivot before weekly pivot was there. So this level is clearly pretty important as well. But
clearly there,
being asked a little bit about this level. But let's say you get a bounce and you're buying around here. I don't know where it is, but somewhere around here. You got a stop loss down here at $14, and you got TP1 up here at $17-18. So
it's TP1,
TP1.
Yeah, I still have 1850 in sights, absolutely. But yeah, 1825 is going to be one of those round numbers. But yeah, look at the size of that consolidation box and then double it up, and then you'd be quite within your rights to actually go, well, hello, that's I bet you it's probably going to bring you up around the 18. Go straight up 1850.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things, and I don't want to get stuck on gold, but if you look at this as the box here, take this to the bottom. It's I'll take the weekly pivot to the bottom, $22 up here to your target, 1.5. But again, guys, if you're looking at gold and you need some trading thought, let me just spend a second. I only want to spend a second on this. We've got to move on from gold, but guys, if you were trying to trade this with a tight stop loss, you're going to get in and chopped out, and in and chopped out, and in and chopped out. And this is why gold is dangerous for reading. Look at this box. If you're trying to trade this in conventional ways with tight stop losses, you're just getting annihilated, probably in both directions, really. There's too much choppiness in the price action here to take you anywhere you want to go. So give it some space and let it be, and that'll do. I think we're going dollar yen with Julian, followed by Aussie. Was it dollar yen, pound Aussie, and then we're off to Jeff. Included in yours, Jeff, I think is cable. Is that right? Oh, he's popped away for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, cable's in there. Yep.
Cable's in there. We've got Jeff doing euro, cable, pound, New Zealand, and dollar CAD. So, and the loonie. So lots to go. Let's get to Julian and have a look at these. Cheers, Fad. You're more than welcome, mate. If you have any questions, put them in the questions box. We are going to try and answer them. We are going to try and keep the show running along as well, guys. So we are going to keep at it. So if you do have questions, put them in and let us get at them. Julian, over to you. Do you want to grab the screen, or am I on charts for this?
I'm happy for you to be on charts, Paul. If you put up a dollar yen chart, this is going to be very quick for me. So on the dailies and dollar yen, there's two things that are happening. The first thing is there's nothing happening, and you might need to tidy that up a little bit, Paul. with my old eyes, I can barely see anything happening at all there. In fact,
Just taking the next weekly pivot off, and I'll
Hold that
just bounce it out a little bit for you. But so, you know,
that'll do.
when you say nothing's happening, Julian, we're talking about, you know, we're talking about a box that's something like this,
Yep.
and we've been in it for a while. And, you know, these two bars here have run the show for quite a long time.
Yep, exactly correct, Paul. And look, so for me, time's up with dollar yen. So something's going to happen here. The seasonal chart will be saying to me right now, what it is saying to me right now, there's a very strong yen rally due, and that will take us through to probably the end of August. So from a buyer's perspective, I'm looking to sell dollar yen. And so then it's a question of working out where and how and what you'd like to do. And again, with any of these things, you want to see some weakness and some closes below some weakness. So possibly closing below those two lows you put in place the last couple of weeks or so would be something like that. You know, I already have a position on. I'm looking to add to it if we get down there. That's really it with me with dollar yen. It's a seasonal trade that I think stands out. And it's interesting because at the same time as you have that seasonal yen trade, the gold is also showing a bullish sign as well too. So maybe there could be an argument for flight to quality, but who knows? We'll see what happens in both of them. Yen is not really broken out just yet, so it may continue sideways, but I'm pretty strong on dollar yen going down.
Nice, mate. And okay, anything from Ainsley, Jeff, PH on this? PH, you still in the room? I know Paul had to run away. He is still in the room though, muted. Guys, anything from you guys on dollar yen before we move on to pound Aussie?
Yeah, the 21st is on my seasonal, to be pedantic. And you know I like a little bit of detail, Paul. So I'm looking for a really nice turn and a return to correlation between gold and yen and flight to safe havens, which is what I'm hoping. We don't hope we either make an analysis and go with it or don't. But what I would like to see is that become more concrete with a short on the dollar yen and my gold keep going, and that gives me the basis to add to my bias for those two trades. So yeah.
Well, it's just 4 new traders in the room. I just want to clarify, and I think it's bit of stuff, and we'll see if we can get back to the stuff in a minute, guys. I do want to keep on going. I will see if I can turn that off, that Telegram app when I'm off camera. You talked about correlation between gold and yen, but it's opposite direction charts. So if yen is strengthening, then dollar yen is going down, and if gold is strengthening, then the gold chart is going up. So do remember that the correlation is between gold and yen, but it's opposite in charts, if you like, if you're on dollar yen. Okay, mate, is that it on yen? Are we on to pound Aussie?
Yep.
Down.
Oh, boy, that's an interesting looking chart, isn't it? That's gone for a little drive around, hasn't it?
Yeah, so if we can focus in on the last couple of weeks, Paul, that would be great. Thank you. So this is a chart that still demonstrates tremendous bullish momentum divergence, so very strong. I'm expecting there to be an up move until we take out the previous 2 sets of lows and close significantly below them. I remain bullish on this, looking for a possible ring low formation the next couple of days. So from my perspective, I think this is a buy. And if it does go up next time, that'll be off a high low formation. I'll be expecting a 5 or 6 big figure move on it. That's the analysis, really quick and short.
Okay, sorry, Julian, I had some thing pop up in the middle of it. You're looking for this for a higher low to form in this area here, being a ring low, and then you're looking for a move up, targeting. I'd imagine you're looking for a move quite a way up.
Yeah, exactly right. Which will take out that intermediate high we had a few days ago, possibly move towards the one at 184.50, I think, somewhere up there. Yeah.
So we'll get a bit of a chuck at this, guys. Okay, guys, and Julian, again, close below 178.80, and we'll have another look on whether we want to be bullish on this or not, right?
Yep. Again, I think the bullish momentum divergence really lets me down.
It just doesn't give me the exact timing. So the setup is there. Now it's just a question of when we see the trading opportunity, and that may be coming up this week. It might not be, but we'll see. We'll play it as we see it.
If this lower high survives, it's a pretty good place to be looking for something, isn't it?
Yeah, it could also take out those previous two lows and then have another fake out again. So I would expect that follow through here would be unusual. So more downside price action of any significance would be unusual, but anything's possible in the markets, but it would be unusual for that to happen. And if it did, then there's no, we've lost nothing apart from a piece of extra analysis that we've got to do subsequent to that. So if this current situation holds, I'm looking probably in the next day or two for that higher low formation that we had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to hold, and then maybe start the next leg back up again.
Mate, before we go over to Jeff to have a look at cable and euro, got one spot up on your mentoring program. How's the mentoring program been going?
Well, I think the guys and the girls, the ladies, so all the folks on that program, I think seem to be really enjoying it. We had a really good teaching session tonight where actually they were doing some analysis for the whole group, which I thought was really useful. All different types of analysis across various asset classes. So very good, very well done. They're really improving. It's been, the current group have been with me for a couple of months now, and they're really, they're doing great. And, it's an opportunity to spend some time with me, and we really go into trading in detail just to really make sure that the whole three aspects of trading pool, the market setup, the timing, and also the risk management are really covered in great detail.
Mate, it's an hour before this show, isn't it? From 4 to 5 Singapore time every Sunday, and then one-to-one with you a month on that program as well, right?
Yeah, that's correct. In fact, we never make it for an hour. It was an hour and a half today. So we just keep going till we run out of things to talk about.
Look,
Sorry,
I've got a couple of things I'm getting asked about S&P for tomorrow. So it's the third Monday of the month. I might ask you, Julian, to have a chat about that before you go, because you do offer some different views on that, and we've still got people asking about. Look, I'm really enjoying asking for you guys for questions, but all of a sudden I've got a list. We'll have to look at every chart to go through everything we've been asked about between YouTube and Zoom tonight. So I don't know if we'll get through all of them, but we will have a look at S&P, and I'll bring it up. I think SPX 500 on this, is it, or US 500? Sorry, there it is. So third Monday of the month, and I'm a bit different, Julian. I'll be buying it because it's the third Monday of the month. And I'm aware that it's close to recent highs, but I'm still going to buy it. Yep.
There's look, I think I recall that July's still a good month to buy it in, and we start to get a bit more flaky as we hit the third quarter for real. So I'm not too sure about September and October, and possibly August as well too. But July is a pretty good month to do it. Just bear in mind that this time of month, there's we are looking for a turn in the stock markets, but maybe not quite yet. So another 2 or 3 days time. This is a quick hold. This one, looking to get out the first profitable opportunity.
Great, Julian. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, guys. Jeff, are we over to you, buddy?
G'day, mate. Yes, why not? Can't think of a reason. I'll just pinch screen. And I'm going to talk about the euro first. Now, for the longest time, quoting Billy Joel, I'll show you the weekly chart. And the weekly chart since, well, we started this little range that I've been speaking about forever in maybe June 2017. So 3 years ago, we were talking about this, or it began in 2017. And we had a little bit of a struggle there through this volatile time that we've seen in 2020. And now we have definitely and clearly broken through that channel. And we're taking on these highs that we did actually achieve back in, let's call it hot COVID time. I'll call it that, the height of volatility anyway. The thing with this level is it's been there for quite some time prior to going into this channel. I'm not talking this time the channel level, I'm talking about the horizontal level. If I go back on the monthly chart, you'll see how strong this level has been for a long, long time, 6 odd years or 5.5 years anyway, since we started going dips in Brexit and all those types of things. That was the big move down, although the euro had been going down for some time as well. So now we've broken clear of that back in 2018, but since then we've been trying to match the lows, haven't been able to do so for probably dollar reasons more than euro reasons, in my humble opinion. And I think that's kind of the key to where I'm going with both this and the euro in just a minute. And the pound in just a minute. This level is still there. It hasn't gone away. And yes, I know we're in a very, very strong breakout scenario in terms of this channel. But this horizontal level, which is a cloud of a price, and my favorite level on the euro is 113.60, because I've had a lot of fun around that level for many, many years. But we've broken through that to a degree, but we're still in this cloud of a price, which is probably capped by 115-ish. And I really don't see a lot of upside to the euro at the moment, short term. What I do see is this cloud of a level, and if I get the opportunity to trade it on smaller time frames as a retracement, and that's all I'm saying, is that's probably where I'm headed at the moment. Yes, we're extremely bullish, and I'm on board with that because we have broken this channel, but it's not going to get through this level easily, let me put it that way. And I'm very, very cautious about going long the euro at the moment. So my short-term bias is to the downside. My long or medium to long-term bias is most definitely up now that we have broken out of that channel. Where do we go tomorrow is probably the question on most people's minds. Well, I can't go long here. It's just impossible for me to go long here. I don't play that way. I see an untested weekly pivot from last week that's going to shoot up, probably in this vicinity, I would imagine, around about the 113.60 level. Funny. So I'll be trying to trade back to that level, 113.60, tomorrow and Tuesday. If it doesn't happen, maybe a little fake out here and we can trade back to that. So that's my bias on euro dollar going into the week. But as soon as we hit that 113.60 again, we're probably looking to trade it back to the top side. Leave a little bit open for this trend line, I suppose, but it's not going to go through easily. It's absolutely my opinion that we will hang around here for a bit. Maybe we'll go into consolidation. A lot depends on the dollar itself, and I better share that with you, I suppose. That's primarily where I base at the moment my analysis on anything against the euro dollar is on this chart, which is the dollar index chart. And I see this at a very, very strong support level, which is, what am I on? I'm on the daily chart. We kind of broken through that support there, but we're still here in this vicinity. And I do see this trade line that we've just been, I guess, wafting down from for days and days and days, now weeks. But I really do see that as a level to come back to around about the 96.50, 96.60 area. So I'm of the opinion that this week I'll be looking for that to come back to there. And for that reason, the correlation between euro dollar short term and dollar index long short term is kind of in my ballpark at the moment. So technically I see both of those things, and that's what I'll be looking for going into the week. If you've got any questions around that or any comments around that, I'm more than happy to hear them.
Mate, just giving you a figure, it was 113.90 for weekly pivot this week on euro dollar.
113.90. Oh, doesn't give me much room to go back to 113.60, but certainly I'll be looking to go back to both of those levels. If we can get maybe, well, we're at 114.25. If we get up to, let's say, 114.50, then that becomes a tradable situation for me. Of course, it's got to set up yet.
Look, I talked earlier on the euro about the euro meeting over the last 3 days, talking about long-term budgets and COVID packages, and we may see a bit of a jump around. I wouldn't be surprised. I'll be surprised if the euro doesn't get Monday morning. I think there'll be some announcements tonight, and we will get a bit of an early indication on direction tomorrow morning. What about the rest of you guys? Any thoughts on euro? Julian Ainsley, PH, got anything to add for us? Any questions from the team, from you guys?
I've had a good week. There was some really good setups on Euro this week, and flying in the face of Jeff Teller 1360, which I was very nervous around when I was coming into 1360. But I think I'm still looking at it long.
Okay, so someone, Nicole, asked what's Jeff's short term. Jeff's short term for you is how long?
Oh,
Talking about a day, really, aren't you, for this to come back and touch? You're hoping this will come back and touch this trend line in the next couple of days, right?
Yep.
Got a note from
30-minute, 1 hour daily charts. But yeah, don't hang on to those too long. That's for sure.
Got a note from Julian and asked a couple of the questions. We might have a look at the silver chart or platinum a bit later on. Otherwise, we'll read his comments out as we go along. Okay, guys, I don't have any more questions. PH, Julian, anything on Euro?
Yeah, Paul, look, I'm bullish on 2 Euro crosses at the moment, and I'm bullish the underlying, but it's right now it looks to me like it'd be healthy to have a bit of a pullback. It's got a lovely decisive weekly bullish bar after several weeks of indecisive bars. So maybe a nice inside bar next week, and then we go higher. But yeah, just the timing for me is not clear. It could be immediate, like you said, on Monday morning, or it could it could come back and consolidate, which would be perfectly healthy for a trending currency.
Nice, mate. Okay, Jeff, we on to cable?
Cable, absolutely. Now, what a mystery bag this is. What a whole heap of garbage it presents at times. But at the moment, we're not dissimilar to that, I don't think. And we've been, to use Ainsley's terms, a dog's breakfast. I use it in a much stronger term than that, but dog's breakfast will do for now. Interestingly, on the weekly chart, we've gone into.
Oh, mate, are you sharing the chart you're talking about?
Sorry. Okay. Yep, I've got dollar index, haven't I?
Yeah, mate.
That's the funny thing with Zoom. You've actually got to change the screen. So the pound on the weekly chart for mine is very, very difficult to predict in terms of direction, either short term or long term. But what it does show me is, if I go to the daily chart, it shows me that we are at the top of a range. If I go to the monthly chart, it shows me that we're coming off a very strong base. So I've got the funny feeling, and I know feelings and technical analysis aren't quite coherent for a lot of people. I see this going to here, but I don't see it going to here just now. I see it going to here over a fair period of time. And I really got to get my head around a little bit of a fundamental issue there. And that's what Boris Johnson is so, I guess, flamboyant about, just bringing Great Britain out of this hole that they're in. I don't know when this, again, going back to timing, I don't know when this timing actually kicks in, where the people say, well, okay, we're behind you, or the economy says, okay, we're seeing the results of that, or the market says, okay, we believe what you're saying. But at the moment, I'm at the top of a range, and I've got a bit of a triple top there on the 4-hour chart. I've got a lower high, I've got a lower low, but now we've gone into a consolidation pattern again. But this lower high here does interest me, this one. The weekly pivot, again, that's going to move, so that doesn't make that easier, but I don't think it's going to move too far. So we may get a bounce off that, and we may go into a little range here between the pivots. I'm not sure where the weekly pivot would be. I know I can put that on my chart, and I should have, preempting this. If I have a guess, it's going to move slightly down, but not too far, maybe to here.
Yeah, 125.66.
125.66. Awesome. Thank you. Which is pretty much where I said. Okay. So that's now in good shape for me. I'll be looking to trade this from a lower high perspective down to the bottom of this range during this week. Timing, as I said, is everything with the pound at the moment, and always, but certainly at the moment, if the market actually does believe that Boris Johnson can pull them out of the SH1T. I'm not sure that's going to be the case, but I will be looking to trade this short in the short term. When I have a look at the next chart, you're going to call me crazy because I'm going to be bullish the pound versus ComDol currencies, and I think we've already had that from Julian. He's bullish on pound Aussie. I'm actually going the other way on pound Kiwi, and that kind of goes back to the, I guess, uncertainty around this pound at the moment. Is it going long? Is it going short? I'm short term short, but I may be longer term or medium term, just a little bit long based on this very strong base that we've come off. So higher high, and you can see that here, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. There's no reason this can't go back to this trade line, or trend line rather. And I think that's where we're headed in the longer term. But short term, and as of tomorrow, I think I'll be looking to trade it back inside that range. If it breaks the top of that range, then suddenly I'm a bull. And I've got no real reason from a relative strength point of view to be a bull on the pound, because I've done a little bit of a point scoring scenario with quarterly, monthly, weekly and daily relative strengths. And the pound is in fact, the pound is the weakest of the lot. You've got the euro at the top, Aussie, CAD, Kiwi, and the pound is the worst of them. I just see that turning around at some stage. And I guess that's why I'm short-term short, if you like. And I know you hate me saying this, Paul. I'm short-term short, long-term bullish on pound US dollar. We'll see how that all pans out.
Man, I'm okay with that. Anyone else got thoughts on pound US dollars? Anyone? Jeff, you finished with us for now, or you're looking for a short off the lower high down to the bottom of the market, back bottom of the range? Jeff, I certainly aren't concerned about you calling that. That makes a bit of sense to me. Be interesting. Probably some TP around monthly pivot on the way down, I'd have thought.
Yeah, and again, it ties in with the dollar strength to a short-term target of where another 30, 40 pips above. So there's a correlation there that I like.
Guys, anyone else got anything to offer on cable? Questions on YouTube? Questions in the chat? On we go, buddy. Sorry, Ainsley.
I was just going to say, I agree with Jeff on cable. It looks like a dog's breakfast. Don't like it. Move along.
Move on.
Okay, Jeff, on we go.
Okay, this is far clearer to me that pound Kiwi, and this is very, very similar to what Julian was talking about on pound Aussie. I think this is an excellent opportunity to get into the market at a very good price. And maybe this one goes for a fair way. So if I'm going to be I guess, harbinger of good things, then I'm going to say this is probably the best one that I can see on the charts at the moment from a technical point of view. And if Ash was here, and I know Ash is on holidays at the moment, he'd be his mouth would be watering over this one as well, because it's definitely a shape of chart that he likes. And it's a shape of chart that I like as well, because if I go a lot wider, here's what I see. And I can go as wide as I like. Here's what I see on this. And this channel is very, very clear to me. And last time we visited, well, in fact, every time we visit the bottom, of course, of a channel, we go higher. Last time we did that, we went appreciably higher. And we are at that point again. It's also a very strong support level through here, as you can see. So I think this is an excellent opportunity from a technical perspective. And again, I can't see why the pound in short term would rally, but longer term, I get it. I think this is a trade as of tomorrow. So if you get where I'm going with this in terms of bounce off the bottom of the range, and for those of you who don't know, I call the channel a range, and we've come off the bottom here. We've got a big bullish engulfing bar on the daily chart. We've gone into range since we got that. But if you look at that little range that we're in, we're at the bottom of it. We've come off the bottom of it with another. In fact, I think that's one of you guys' ring low, isn't it?
Not quite. Not quite. Not too bad, but I don't think it's.
How does that have? Has it got to close up here? Has it to be a ring low?
So it's just it's hard to see the bottom of that bar. Interesting, because Julian's in the room, but I'd like the white bar to close the third bar to close above the second bar before I'd consider it to be a genuine ring high.
Close above the high
ring
of the
low.
second bar.
So you've got on the second bar's got a lower high and a lower low than the first bar, and the third bar's got a higher low, but it hasn't got a higher high. And to be a complete ring low, I would prefer that.
Got it. But I won't be trading that anyway. I'll be waiting for something better. And I know the daily pivot won't be there tomorrow. But if there's something there in a resistance area that maybe is a confluence of, wow, there's a level through there somewhere. It's all a mess, I know. But if we can get a bounce off this area here somewhere and put in a higher low, I think that's a good trade. And I would hang on to it for as long as you possibly can, given what I've just said. I think this has got a long way to go.
191.71 for daily, Jeff.
91.71. Okay, I'll have a look at that in a sec. But if you can envisage this.
I want to jump in here if you don't mind. I've got a couple of questions for you. We'll ask some general comment on this, but just for people in the room who might be confused, right? You've told us that you're short cable and you're long pound New Zealand, but the truth is these are biases where you're looking for opportunities. It's actually reasonably unlikely you'll be in both trades at the same time, right? It's likely that it'll go in one direction or the other and it'll put you in. It's unlikely you'll be in both at the same time. The one that sets up your trade, right?
Precisely. And you can see me on daily charts and weekly charts at the moment. When I was talking about cable, I'm going down to 4-hour and hourly charts. So short-term versus medium to long-term is, and again, I don't want to confuse people, but there is a short-term opportunity on cable to trade it back to the bottom of the range. And I guess if I explain it like this, if I've got a structure, which is in this case here, a rectangle, then I look to trade that structure. And if as you say, Paul, if it sets up, then I'll trade it to the top of the structure. And exactly the same going back to cable. If I've got a structure, I'll trade it to the bottom of the structure because it's bouncing off the top. That doesn't mean anything long-term. This is only short-term stuff I'm talking about. But if you have a look at pound Kiwi, the short-term structure, which is long, right, bouncing off the bottom of the range, coincides with the long-term structure, which is also long. So if I can actually get into this via the short-term structure, then I have to hang on to this for a long time because this could go to the top of the structure, which is 2,500 pips away. So you can imagine if I can get in on a short-term structure for, let's say, a 40 pip risk, then ride it for 2,500 pips. That's going okay. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Yes, it's a short-term trade to the long side, but I definitely want to be hanging on to this, and I'd certainly want to scale into it as we go along.
Might make for a nice Christmas, that.
Would be good, wouldn't it? We're a long way from there, but the structure's telling me it's possible. So
mate, there's no question, right? When you have a look at pound New Zealand, there's no question here that that's your target and that it's in a channel. The top of the channel should be your target. Look, I just want to invite, I've had a bit of a chat about a couple of things here. Anyone else want to comment on pound New Zealand? Anyone else coming in?
No.
No Ainsley, no Julian, no PH, no questions, guys. If you've got any questions, put them in the questions box.
Everyone's scratching their head going, how the hell can you say that? This is so bearish. Look.
One thing about it, Jeff, I don't think anyone who's a technical trader is looking at this and not getting that. You're talking about taking a bounce from the bottom of a channel to the top of a channel. I don't think that's a mystery to anybody. I think that, I think that's that makes good sense to everybody having a look. If you have any questions, sorry guys, I've got a bit going on the screen. Let me just make sure it hasn't ambushed me on the questions again, because every now and again it does like to. It's taken the question. Oh, there we are. We're okay. Got the chat. We're all good. Okay. What's our next one, Jeff?
You got the chat. I got the chat too. A couple of hours ago. They hadn't lit the fire. This is dollar CAD. And it's exactly the same thing. At the end of the day, there's a market structure here that's telling me that this is going short. And if I put that in terms of a market structure, That's pretty much it. And I know it's a little bit loose, and you know there's one there as well which told you exactly the same story, where you've got a descending triangle. And I know Julian loves these triangles; it's his favourite thing. But I've
drawing.
Favorite. He loves
yeah,
them.
he loves.
Absolutely.
I know. But I've got a tale of two cities here. Why did I say that? Well, because that's a ballet, isn't it? Is that a ballet?
We're not, let's move on from the you and the tutu thing. Let's move along.
Oh my God.
Right, we got
No.
off the ballet.
I thought you were drawing an America's
Ballet.
Cup sale, to be honest, buddy, with there. But so we got a triangle, which you know what it means, guys, is we're getting the same lows and we're getting lower highs. And as it squeezes, and we would expect around the 2/3 of the way into the triangle to see a break, and we're past that, I would have thought. We've seen one break of a triangle already come down, set us up for a new triangle with lower highs and the same lows. I like the pattern, Jeff. I really do. When you show that stuff, it's nice and clear, and I get that. And every technical trader has things they like and don't like. But I like the clarity of seeing that. You know.
Yeah, I've got a dilemma here, and that's why I've chosen this one. This could go either way, and what I've got already is a potential false break of this trend line. And it's a genuine trend line, not a trade line. So we've broken through here, and we've had a little bit of consolidation. Then we got this big bearish bar, and then a beautiful reply. And I'll go a little bit tighter so you guys can see this. Then we got a beautiful reply across the pivots. And that's something I love to see, but I love to see it here the first time it happens. It's happening too often for me here. So it's totally confusing in terms of, I call it a double cross, where we go one way across the pivot, and the monthly pivot's very strong, of course, and then the other way across the pivot. And this generally puts me in the opposite direction. But here what I see is a double hit on that, if you like, where we have had that potential false break of that resistance trend line, which of course is the top of that triangle, as it were. We've come back underneath it and then retested it. I actually love this as a setup, but I can't trade it. I can't trade short at that level. It's just, for me, suicide. I don't like that until it breaks and retests. I get that bit, but I can't trade here short. So what I will be concentrating on, because that structure is telling me this is going short, I'll be looking very, very closely tomorrow morning. That's the daily chart I'm looking at and the smaller time frames for an opportunity to go short. The issue I have is that we're at the bottom of the range and we've come off the bottom of the range, and I'm normally looking for a long at that point. I need something from a resistance point of view to be false to get me back into a short here. And if that's a trend line through here that becomes a false break, happy days. So I've got a little bit of dilemma on this one, where we go with it. But overall, I've got a very, very, very strong bearish outlook on dollar CAD, very bearish. So just looking for a way to get into that timing, and that's why I've chosen to use this chart. The timing is going to be everything here. If it goes from here, I'm going to be peed off, because that's an obvious one for me, where we've broken through here and it's very much looks like a false break. I really want to see something off resistance up here where I can get short. That's about it, mate.
So mate, you're looking to, okay, we've got the triangles forming. You're looking to get back towards the top and to get a chance to go short. Anyone want to offer anything on that? Any questions? We've got Shukri telling us that on YouTube that he loves the pound New Zealand with 2,500 pip ups upside. Look, do watch the show for a few weeks, Shukri, if he does get put into that, because management of that will be really important. If there's a 2,500 pip upside, there's going to be a need to take some profit and to scale back in repeatedly in that period of time. So watch him do it and watch him trade. And it will take, I'd have thought 2,500 pips. You're probably looking at a couple of months minimum to get to those kind of levels, probably a little bit more than that. So it'll be a fascinating trade to watch tug along, really, I guess. Anyone else got anything on dollar CAD, the loonie?
I'll just add in there, Jeff, on the fundamental side, oil is going to probably help CAD get long dollar CAD. In other words,
Yeah,
the
no,
dollar.
I see that, Ash. Ainsley, sorry. But
I'll stop deepening my.
I can't argue with what I'm seeing, and the big structure's
Yeah.
telling me this is going short. Yeah.
One of the things with it though, Jeff, a little bit of oil weakness, dropping the CAD, pushing dollar CAD up and getting you to the top of this range for your short would work just fine
Gives
for
me
you,
a
right?
price, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're looking for something just to put you up there. You're not looking to short it here, right? You're looking for it to get up and short it a bit higher up, right?
Absolutely. I'd love to short it here, but I'd be prevented from doing that because of the level I'd have to get in at. So yeah, I want a better price.
Nice. Okay. Okay, guys. New format for the original show of TTR today. Any thoughts on crypto, guys? Helen, we are not doing crypto on a Sunday night trading show. At this point, unfortunately, guys.
Tuesday night.
Look, we're doing some we're having some talks in the next few weeks with some crypto people. So Matt might take us somewhere. And Jeff and Ash do crypto on their US session Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, don't you, Jeff?
We do cryptos on Tuesday.
Crypto Tuesday, Thursday. That's interesting. It's always interesting. Look, there's always a lot of people with views on cryptos. I know that Paul Hutton's son, I think, is pretty good at crypto. Julian's son's also pretty good at crypto. It appears that most people under 25 are pretty good at crypto. Us oldies. I did a bit on crypto in the early days, but I'm not really keen to jump into crypto here right now. Look, what I would like to do, guys, I'm happy to spend. I said we were going to do this in an hour under the new format, and I've really enjoyed the new format. It's tripped me up a few times with a couple of things, but it feels like we've got through a lot of charts, giving guys some areas and things to look at, which I really like. So I've really enjoyed the show. A bit of practice on hosting it'll help. But what I would like to do is I'm happy to look at one or two more charts. I think we got a question on silver. So we have a look at a silver chart and see if there's any general comment on that. I know Julian did share some thoughts on silver for us a little bit earlier on. You like the new format?
I don't have any.
Nicole.
Look, I'll see if I can get a silver trade up. Silver chart up. There's a silver chart there.
I'm told it's a long-term buy, but I've got no idea.
Yeah, look, yeah, Angie, after you.
So for me, it's really hard because silver does follow gold, and obviously I go with one, what I prefer, and two, a stronger trade.
You know, it's really interesting, Ainsley, because I think while silver does follow gold, just a quick look at it. You know, I think one of the things that silver does that allows you, you know, for retail traders who are, you know, who perhaps struggle with some of this stuff, there's the opportunity to tighten up some of these stop losses a little bit, and it gives you, for mine, some of the cyclicity is a little bit clearer, a little bit easier. There's been some really nice buy signals on silver in these sort of areas here before these moves up. And another one here, you know, it pops away quite nicely.
Hey guys, we're still looking at Jeff's chart.
Oh, you won't be seeing mine at all then. I'm just looking at the
chart
and
at all.
Talking. That's By the way, it was genius. It was pure genius, guys. There's no question about it.
I would love to see a silver chart.
So here's the silver chart, and you know, one of the things that Julian posted for us earlier on was, and for Jai, we've had a look at cable for you earlier on, which you asked for, that pound New Zealand from Shukri. Now we had a question about silver. One of the things that Julian's saying, and I think it's really interesting, is that, you know, on a historic basis, silver is still comparatively cheap versus gold, and that I think is potentially quite important. Oh gosh, let me get rid of that. You know, so a silver buy. I think silver's probably a buy. I would imagine that that's a daily pivot level I've got on there. Still, I might take that away for now. Might put next week's weekly pivot on, and you know, guys.
Hey, B, could you drop down to Ali when you're ready, please?
Before I go on, I will go into which time frame, Ainsley.
Just drop down to 4 hourly for me when you're finished doing what you're doing.
Look, guys, here's this week's weekly pivot, and there's a test of it before we put it on and a bounce off it. And you know, I wouldn't buy this personally. I'd love to say I'm going to buy this, but and just for education's sake, I don't like buying that close to a recent high. I just feel like I'm asking for trouble. I want to see proper pullback, and this doesn't quite work for me. Might on Ainsley's 4-hour option.
Show me that. Yeah.
Look again, guys.
Like,
Let me give you the tip. 4-hour wave rider trading with the new super trend settings just gives you some brilliant trades.
look at
It
those.
just gives you winner after winner. You can pick any chart you want to and have a look. It's the one where we've got the settings just fantastic. And you know, in these, if you're getting a trend on a daily chart and you get a 4-hourly option to take your wave riders, those that have been taught the 4-hourly wave rider, it is the pick for mine. It is going super duper, if you ask me. You know,
Yep.
if you've
Be
bought
tempted to
silver, for
trade that.
instance, you know, here, and here, you would be a pretty happy man. If you bought it up there, you might not have got your TP1, but the rest of them would have you looking pretty good. So Ainsley, 4-hourly chart, and look, there's you know, these guys do need to get really from mine up to a higher high and a pullback to a higher low if they're going to go. You know.
Yeah. Just I look for a little bit more detail than the. I know it doesn't sound like me at all, Paul, does it? Than the daily, because I like to see the anatomy of the daily and what's made that up. That's just a personal thing. And for people and other traders, take a broader sweeping brush concept and go with that. But as you know, with gold, you've really got to look for those levels. I'm not so familiar with silver, but gee, those that daily 4-hour wave rider signals, so you can't argue with that, can you?
Anything that's trending, you have a look. Sorry guys, I was just looking for the questions box, which has hidden behind the chart that I'm sharing, which is just the zoom thing. Nothing that I need to worry about too much. A couple of people loving the thing. Look, guys, I'm pretty keen with 10 to 7 Singapore. As you guys know, we've got the trader chat, the social trader chat in 10 minutes. I do want to get out and make sure we make that in time tonight. So I might wind her up, guys. I've enjoyed the new format, and I'm looking forward to having Alexis come in and do fundamentals for 5 minutes at the start of the show from next week. And I really encourage you guys. I think early on we had a bit more discussion around the charts, and I think it's a really nice thing. I really enjoy it, and as long as we keep it in the right sort of vein, I think it's really helpful for the people at home. So, anything from anyone before I wind her up?
No, not at all, mate. All good.
Jeff, done. Anything from Ainsley?
Although I reckon Ash would like to look at that chart too.
Yeah,
that's the right shoulder right there.
Where's Ashley when you need him? Yeah. So yeah, I'm good. I'm just it's a shame oil's not behaving well, but sorry about that, guys. I can't help that just at the moment. And yeah, good luck with your gold trades.
Anything from you, Julian? Jeff, where's your head and shoulders in here? Shoulder, head, shoulder?
Yeah.
No.
He's a bit deformed in here, isn't he?
Oh, that looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. What are you talking about?
It's I do get what you're thinking. What's more, one of the things that Ash likes, and I really like as well, is the spacing's not bad on here. What are we? 13 bars that way, and we are 11 bars that way. So the 12 bars. So the spacing's really good on. I do get that. Must get Ash next time he's in to talk about how he trades head and shoulders at the top of the shoulder and not the baseline of it. It's certainly, you know, I'm a big fan of it. I just don't think waiting for a break of the line on a head and shoulders, you're halfway through the move before you get in. I quite like the earlier entry that Ash goes for. Look, guys, Julian, anything from you?
I think he's hit the snoozery.
Well, the thing is that because he's muted, he's probably talking to me, and I've got no, I was going to do you. I'll end the show, and I think I've been rude. Guys, I have very much enjoyed the new format. Hope you guys see you back next week. I am going to try and get this through in an hour. Nice to have Julian pop in and add a little bit of time to it as well. And that I do want to do an hour plus guest, so I think we're pretty much on track. Thanks to everybody who's come and had a look at it. I'm just trying to remember next week, guys, is week 4. And that means our guest next Sunday is Ash. We will look forward to having him in the show. We will have Alexis and Early doing fundamentals. Ash on market overview next week. We will have Ainsley talking oil and gold, and we will have Jeff talking TA. We'll see if Julian pops and does a couple of charts as well. I think having a couple of charts one time each time would be bloody good. So I'd like to thank them for their efforts and giving up some Sunday afternoon to come and share with you guys. And I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. It makes the show worth the doing. Please add the standard trading disclaimer to the bottom of this, guys. Do take care, trade your money wisely, and make good decisions. It's a week with some promise in it for mine, but like all weeks in trading, it'll take a little bit of patience. Mike, you're welcome. Thank you, mate. No problems at all. I've got a few. Oh, cheers. Thanks, Soon. Thanks, Crystal. Cheers. Hey, Crystal, by the way, I'll be in touch with you. We do have solutions for you, but it's just a bit slower than I'd like. So, thanks, Helen. Cheers, guys. Thanks, Paris. We'll talk to you during the week as well. We've got coaching with you. Cheers, Crystal. Thanks for that. I'll be in touch with you this week to give me a little bit of time. And you, Dennis. Thank you very much, guys. And Lionel. Cheers, guys. Thank you all, and once again, thanks for joining us. We will see you next Sunday, same time. It is 9:15 New Zealand. It is 5:15 in Singapore, 7:15 Australia. If you enjoy the show, get your friends to join us. For those on YouTube, some great feedback coming in there as well, guys. Please, you've enjoyed it. We will look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.